Hello everyone, this is the owner of the Horror Docs channel. I would like to say that if my content left you only positive emotions after watching it, you could subscribe, thus helping the channel to promote itself, and I will have more desire to improve and make quality content. We are almost 1,000 subscribers already, thanks to everyone who participated in this. Satyajit Ravi Kumar had just moved to San Francisco from India. She had been living in the city for a few weeks and was still adjusting to her new life. She needed a new phone and decided to buy one from Craigslist, an online marketplace where people could buy and sell items. She found a phone that she liked and contacted the seller, who offered to meet her in the Bayview neighborhood. Kumar was a bit apprehensive about the meeting, but she really wanted the phone, so she agreed to meet the seller. When Kumar arrived at the meeting place, a desolate alleyway, she saw a seller standing there, holding the phone. But before she could say anything, the seller attacked her. He stabbed her multiple times, leaving her with severe injuries. Kumar tried to fight back, but the attacker was too strong. She collapsed to the ground, bleeding heavily. A passerby found Kumar a few minutes later and called the police. When the police arrived, they found her lying on the ground, barely conscious. They rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. Kumar died from her injuries at the scene. San Francisco police launched an investigation into Kumar's death. They quickly discovered that she had been the victim of a crime related to a Craigslist transaction. They traced the phone number of the seller and found that it had been used in several other Craigslist-related crimes. The police used the phone number to track down the suspect, a 24-year-old man named Kevin Frisky. He had a criminal record for robbery and had been linked to other Craigslist-related crimes. Frisky was arrested and charged with murder and robbery. Kumar's death was a tragic reminder of the dangers of using Craigslist. It was important for users to take precautions when meeting strangers in real life. They should always be cautious, check the seller's history, and the location of the encounter. They should also report any suspicious activity to the police. Kumar's family was devastated by her death. They had lost a daughter, a sister, and a friend. They could not believe that such a horrible thing could happen to someone who was simply trying to buy a phone. They hoped that the police would find justice for Kumar, and that her death would raise awareness about the dangers of buying and selling items on Craigslist. In the end, Frisky was found guilty of Kumar's murder and sentenced to life in prison. While it could not bring back Kumar, her family felt some sense of closure, knowing that her killer had been brought to justice. They hoped that her tragic death would serve as a warning to others to be careful when using online marketplaces like Craigslist. My opinion: the tragic story of Satyajit Ravi Kumar highlights the importance of being cautious when using online marketplaces like Craigslist. It is essential to take precautions, such as checking the seller's history and the location of the meeting. Reporting any suspicious activity to the police can also help prevent similar tragedies. The small town of Zanesville in Ohio had never seen anything like it before. The news of a string of murders linked to Craigslist had spread like wildfire, causing panic and fear in the community. The victims, all young and vulnerable, had been lured to their death by a maniacal killer named Richard Boosman. The story of Boosman and his heinous crimes would later be known as the Craigslist Killer. It all started in the summer of 2016 when a young couple, Jane and John, responded to a job advertisement on Craigslist. They were excited to start their new lives together and were thrilled at the prospect of finding work. The advertisement was for a cleaning job at a local motel, and the pay was good. The couple eagerly contacted the poster, a man named Richard Boosman, and arranged to meet him at the motel. As they arrived at the location, they were greeted by a tall, lanky man with a sinister grin on his face. He introduced himself as Richard and showed them around the motel. Everything seemed normal until they reached the back of the building, where there was a small room with no windows. Suddenly, Richard pulled out a gun and demanded that the couple give him all their money. In a moment of panic, John lunged at Richard, trying to disarm him. However, Richard was too quick for him and shot John in the chest. Jane screamed in terror as Richard turned the gun on her and pulled the trigger. The police were called to the scene soon after, and they were horrified by what they found. The couple's lifeless bodies lay in a pool of blood, and the motel room was ransacked. It was evident that the killer had taken their money and fled the scene. The case went cold for a few weeks until another body was found in a similar manner. The victim, a young woman looking for a place to stay, had responded to an advertisement on Craigslist. She was lured to a remote location, where she was brutally murdered. The police soon realized that they were dealing with a serial killer who used Craigslist to lure his victims. The investigation into the Craigslist killer was one of the most extensive in Ohio's history. The police scoured the site, looking for any leads or clues that could help them identify the killer. They combed through hundreds of ads and contacted anyone who had posted an advertisement related to the case. Finally, in a stroke of luck, the police were able to track down Richard Boosman and his co-conspirators. The evidence against them was overwhelming, and they were arrested and charged with 10 counts of murder. The trial was one of the most high-profile cases in Ohio's history, and the entire country watched as the gruesome details of the Craigslist killer's crimes were revealed. In the end, Richard Boosman was sentenced to 10 life sentences, ensuring that he would never see the outside world again. The case had a profound impact on the community, and the people of Zanesville vowed never to forget the victims of the Craigslist killer. The tragedy also led to stricter security measures on Craigslist, ensuring that buyers and sellers could meet safely and without fear of violence. Years have passed since the Craigslist killer was caught, but the memory of his crimes still haunts the people of Zanesville. They remember the victims and mourn their loss, but they also celebrate the strength and resilience of their community. The Craigslist killer may have left a dark mark on their town, but he could not break their spirit. My opinion: the story of the Craigslist killer serves as a reminder of the dangers that can lurk online and the importance of staying vigilant when interacting with strangers. It also highlights the importance of law enforcement and the justice system in protecting society from those who would seek to do harm. It was a chilly evening in October 2018 when a young man named Jason decided to buy a new iPhone X. He had been saving up for it for months and finally had enough money to make the purchase. Instead of going to an authorized dealer, he decided to check out Craigslist, hoping to find a good deal. Jason's eyes scanned the listings until he saw an ad for an iPhone X in perfect condition for $950. It was a steal, he thought to himself. He quickly messaged the seller and arranged to meet up with them on a street in Brooklyn. As Jason made his way to the meeting place, his heart was pounding with excitement. He couldn't wait to get his hands on his new phone. But as he turned the corner, he saw 2 men standing there, staring at him menacingly. He tried to back away, but they quickly closed in on him, brandishing a gun and a knife. "Give us your money and phone," one of them snarled, as the other pressed the cold metal of the gun against Jason's temple. Jason's hands were shaking as he handed over his wallet and his new phone. The 2 men quickly disappeared down the street, leaving Jason in shock and fear. Jason immediately called the police, who arrived on the scene within minutes. They took down his statement and assured him that they would do everything in their power to find the culprits. For the next few weeks, Jason was haunted by nightmares and flashbacks of the terrifying incident. But eventually, the police managed to track down the 2 men responsible for the robbery. They were both arrested and charged with robbery and assault with a deadly weapon. The trial was long and arduous, but eventually justice was served. One of the men was sentenced to 3 years in prison, while the other was ordered to perform community service. The experience left Jason shaken and traumatized, but he learned an important lesson from it. He realized that he had been too careless in his online transactions and had put himself in danger by meeting up with strangers in a deserted street. From now on, he resolved to be more careful and cautious, and to use trusted platforms with safeguards for all his online transactions. The case also served as a warning to others who might be tempted to make quick and easy deals on online marketplaces like Craigslist. It underscored the importance of taking precautions and being vigilant, and of using common sense when dealing with strangers. With a little care and caution, incidents like the one that happened to Jason could be avoided, and online transactions could be made safe and secure for everyone. My opinion: the story above teaches me to be more cautious when buying or selling items through online marketplaces, and to always prioritize my safety by choosing safe meeting places and avoiding late evening hours. It also reminds me to be vigilant when interacting with strangers and to conduct transactions through trusted platforms with safeguards. It was a warm summer day in 2009 when a young woman named Sarah logged onto Craigslist looking for work on a farm. She had always loved animals and the outdoors, so when she saw an ad for a farmhand position in Ohio, she eagerly applied. Little did she know, the ad had been hijacked by 3 ruthless criminals looking to lure unsuspecting victims to their remote farm. They quickly responded to Sarah's application and arranged to meet her at a nearby gas station before leading her to the farm. Sarah was excited to start her new job, but as soon as she arrived at the farm, she knew something was off. The 3 men who greeted her were intimidating and aggressive, and she quickly realized she was in danger. Before she could react, the men overpowered her and dragged her into a nearby barn. They took turns assaulting and sexually assaulting her, ignoring her cries for help and pleas for mercy. Finally, after hours of torture, they killed her and buried her body in a shallow grave on the farm. The news of Sarah's murder quickly spread throughout the country, causing widespread outrage and horror. The fact that the criminals had used Craigslist to lure their victim only added to the shock and disbelief. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that Sarah was not their only victim. The men had previously used Craigslist to lure other women to the farm, where they had committed similar crimes on them. The case drew attention to the safety risks of using online platforms like Craigslist, and it prompted the site to take additional measures to protect its users. New laws were also enacted to improve the security of online transactions and prevent similar tragedies from occurring. In the end, justice was served, and the 3 criminals were sentenced to life in prison for their heinous crimes. But the memory of Sarah and the other victims they had terrorized will live on, a tragic reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows of the internet. My opinion: as a human being, the story above is a chilling reminder of the potential dangers that exist when using online platforms to connect with strangers. It highlights the importance of being vigilant and cautious when engaging with unfamiliar individuals or situations, and it serves as a call to action for companies to prioritize user safety and implement effective measures to protect their customers. It was a dark and stormy night in downtown Los Angeles, and the rain was pounding on the windows of Lily Hernandez's apartment. Lily was a beautiful woman with long, curly black hair and bright green eyes, but life had not been kind to her. She had grown up in a single-parent family and had resorted to substances to cope with her pain. She now worked as a night worker to make ends meet. On July 12, 2016, Lily received a message from a man named David Rodriguez. He had seen her ad online and wanted to meet her. Despite her doubts, Lily needed money, so she agreed to meet him at her hotel. Upon arrival, David waited for her in the lobby. He was a tall man with a menacing look, and Lily felt uncomfortable. Despite her doubts, she followed him to his room. When they were alone, David demanded that Lily return his money. She refused, and the situation quickly took a dark turn. David became enraged and jumped on Lily, pulled her against him, and strangled her. In her last moments, Lily thought about how she wished she had done things differently. David panicked and took Lily's body to a secluded spot near the Angeles National Forest. He buried her in a shallow grave, thinking that he had escaped punishment for the crime he had committed. However, Lily's family reported her missing, and soon authorities discovered that she had been seen with David the night she disappeared. He was tracked down and interrogated, and eventually confessed to the murder. David was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The tragedy of Lily's death shocked society and drew attention to the dangers sex workers face every day. Her family and friends were shocked, but her memory lived on in the hearts of those who loved her. Lily Hernandez's story serves as a reminder that life is fragile and that anything can happen any moment. It is a warning to others to be careful and always watch out for themselves. While it rained outside the window, the memory of Lily will never be forgotten, and her tragic story will serve as a reminder to stay vigilant and protect yourself from danger. My opinion: Lily Hernandez's tragic story teaches us the importance of being aware of the dangers that exist in the world, especially for vulnerable populations such as nightlife workers. It is a reminder to be careful and to always prioritize your safety, no matter what the circumstances. Most importantly, it highlights the value of human life and the devastating consequences that violence can lead to.